Palestinian, Arab Christian, I became Christian not long ago. For us Palestinian Christians, we are all peasants, we are all simple people. And I am from a very, very simple family from Galilee. I became Christian not long ago. For us, the concept time is differently measured. We never tolerated that engine in our hands that has subdivided time into seconds, minutes, hours, weeks, days. My goodness, isn't that too complicated? For us, we feel that 1,000 years are like one day before the Lord. So what are 2,000 years? It is the day before yesterday that the young rabbi, the man from Galilee, was hanging around with our boys and girls, sharing our funerals and our weddings, discussing with our elderly and admiring the skies, the clouds, the birds, the flowers, and he made all of that the parables of the kingdom of heaven. You know where you find these parables? In the so-called New Testament. He is my compatriot. He, his mother, his disciples are members of my community now. It's such an honor to have them from there. But I tell you, they're not easy to deal with. It is then that with some extraordinary authority, he saw a specialist, a fisherman called Peter. I don't imagine what kind of authority did he has to say to Peter, follow me. And he left his net and followed him. He must be a superhuman being in doing that. Or Peter should be a crazy man. And they followed him, 12. And they went to Jerusalem. And there, I do believe that, it's not an offense for you, Rabbi, I love you, he was crucified and died. And I do believe that third day he was risen. He promised his disciples, all men from Galilee. I am the Archbishop of Galilee. He promised them if they stay in Jerusalem, he will send them the gift from heaven. And 50 days later, he sent them something. If I ask you what, you would say the Holy Spirit. Wrong. He did not start sending the Holy Spirit. He started sending his wind, rih, ruho, rih. And he sent a strong wind, a storm. He stormed their minds so much that he cleansed them from all prejudices and preconceived ideas. They went all over the world, even to Rome, to say, goodness, there can be no privilege for Jew against Gentile, for man against woman, for Lord against slave. You know, shamefully I say, I wish I could find some courageous Christian leaders who would have stood up courageously some 67 years ago and said publicly without fear, there can't be any privilege for German against Jew. And we are still waiting for such a leader to stand up in Israel and to say, there can't be any privilege for Jew against Palestinian. The same equation. Palestinian, Arab, Christian. I am also a citizen of the state of Israel. And all four facets of my identity are so dear to my heart that for nothing would I give any of them. I tried to put an order in my identity qualities. Could I be first of all Israeli citizen? I could not agree. I have a small problem with Israel. Israel is 62 years old. I am older than Israel. I'm 71 years old. I did not immigrate into Israel at my early age. It's Israel that was created in my country when I was a young boy. And for you, especially Rabbi, with all my love, I will tell you the story of my father. He gathered us in the upper Galilee, in the village of Barham, saying, children, within a few days, we might see Jewish soldiers coming to our village. They have machine guns, but they do not kill. Be not afraid. We need to show them that somewhere on this planet, they are welcome, and Father added, mainly because they are our blood brothers. They pride themselves, as we do, to be the children of an Iraqi citizen called Abraham. And Father decided to prepare a banquet for these Jews who used to come as friends to make business, not as soldiers carrying weapons. They came. They used our beds. We slept on the roofs of our homes for 10 days. After which the officer of the army, whose name was Manu, invited all heads of families to come and see him. Father was with them. They came. They received the orders. You take wife and children, lock your doors, deliver the keys, and go wherever you want for 10 days. You will return after 2 weeks. What could peasants say to an officer of the army who is armed? Yes, sir. And we left. We lived only 1 kilometer away from our home. I know still now where did we stay. On a slope of a hill. It was exciting for us young boys. To climb the trees, to catch birds. It was paradise. But after 2 weeks, it became a little bit complicated. The heads of families gathered back again and went to see the army. My father was with them. We want to return home with wife and children. They went. They never, ever came back. Later on, we knew that they were loaded into military trucks like cattle and driven from northern Galilee to the neighborhood of Nablus in the West Bank, where the borders were set. And they had to cross. Orders were, you go away, it's no more your country. Go wherever you want, never come back. If you come back, you will be killed before you trespass the borders. And they started their Via Dolorosa. They started their ways of suffering. They were not welcomed in the Arab countries. They were not given food. They were not given shelter. They passed 3 months walking from the Jordan River to Amman in Jordan, to Damascus, to Beirut, and were stuck there and became condemned to be the Palestinian refugees. Very few were able to infiltrate back through the northern borders with Lebanon. Among them was my father. The only thing he wanted is that he be gone back to his home. We have taken an abandoned room in a nearby village, saying 1, 2, 3 weeks, 2 months, we will return home. Father never encouraged us to take revenge. He never encouraged us to settle accounts with the quote-unquote Jews. The only thing he wanted is to go back and build his ancestral home where our tree goes back to the 16th century. He was never given this right, not this privilege. I want to tell you, my brother, Dr. Hillel, please help us to convince your Jewish brothers that it is not true that every non-Jew is an automatic enemy to the Jews. We are not your enemies. We'll never be your enemies.